in this thing. Tell them, yeah, that's me. Tell them who bring the fire, say, yeah, that's me. Who make it flip, make it bang, ooh, yeah, that's me. Who make the party feel alive, tell them, yeah, that's me. Whoa. Yeah, ooh, yeah, that's me. Who that chillin' at the top, tell them, yeah, that's me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to UC Caps Live Sessions 2022. My name is Joe Gleason, and very happy to host here today. We have got a bit of fun coming your way, and before we get started, of course, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting on today, the Ngunnawal people, and pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Very excited to have an intimate little crew here today. And of course, after we do this live show, we will make this session available to everyone who wants to come and check it out. So tell your mates if they weren't able to make it, if they're at training today, whatever it may be, come and check it out afterwards. We do have joining us here today, and thank you to the Basketball ACT for sending out the invite to any of our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander basketball players in our local area to come and join us today. A big thank you to Oliver, president of the Warriors Basketball Club, who passed out the invitation to all of their members, all of their players, to come and join us today. We have a wide range of ages here today, and so fitting to have the Warriors along, a great club, and their club motto is reconciliation through action. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming along. Thanks so much for joining us. We have two absolute legends of our club joining us today. Of course, the one and only Abby Cabillo, proud Larrakia woman from up Darwin Way, who's been playing in the ACT for what feels like forever, and we love having her here, and our captain joining us today as well, Kelsey Griffin. So if you've got any questions throughout this stream, feel free to pop them in the comments section. We'll try and get to as many as we can. Thank you to the Warriors who have already sent through a bunch, very organized, and no question too broad, no question too specific. Totally fine if there's something that's playing on your mind about the game, or you just want to find out more about these two awesome athletes that we've got on today. Totally fine. Send your questions our way. Before we get into learning more about our special guests, we could not do this without the help of the ACT government. And saying g'day to you before we kick into it is our Minister, Yvette Berry.
Thanks everyone for being part of this great online program being run by the Canberra Capitals. I know you'll see real great improvement in your skills, and we'll see you well in your basketball journey.
Thank you so much, Yvette. So, without further ado, let's get into it and get our first guest on, the one and only Abby Cabillo.
Mismatch, swings it along the baseline. Here's Cabillo to Sykes, back to Cabillo. Three-pointer up, wow. And that's good too.
Such great ball movement.
Cabillo takes Reed off the dribble. Floaters up, off the glass. Nice move through the paint.
Oh, just mishandled it. Now Cabillo. She's off to the races and one.
Awesome to see a few highlights there from you, Abby. Abby Cabillo, welcome. Hey.
Hello. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be doing this with the Caps, and hopefully Kelsey and I can help you out today with whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a wide range of questions for you. But before we get into the Q&A, we want to learn a little bit about yourself and Kelsey, and sort of hear about that journey that you guys have been on from, the very early beginnings of your sort of basketball playing days right through to where you are right now in the WNBL. Do you have a really early memory of playing basketball when you first picked up a ball? Who introduced you to the game?
Yeah, I guess I kind of just started playing because my older sister was really into basketball. She was in the Northern Territory rep teams and playing all different age groups and divisions. So I felt like I was always dragged along to basketball. So I thought, if I'm going to spend all my time here, I may as well play. So that's kind of how I got into it initially. And some of my best memories I can still remember and picture every single one of my teammates in my under 10s TV Jets team. And we had an age group that we all started together at under 10s and then was the same team all together up until probably under 16. So it was really exciting for us to start all as little kids and then grow up together and play.
That's huge. That's awesome. And I suppose, you know, you'd still know a few of these people back home in Darwin and that sort of thing, and be able to catch up with them. Maybe they don't want to take you on in one-on-one anymore, possibly.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of chosen different paths to go down with our lives, but I'm definitely still really good friends with some of them. Some of them are still my closest friends. So it's
Yeah.
really awesome to be able to grow up with them like that.
It's great. It's a great social game and something that I definitely want to get my kids into, so that they've got that community around them. And as they go through those teenage years and into their young adults and adulthood, there'll be those people around you and that awesome community that is basketball. That, you know, if you feel like you're ever going through anything tough, you've always got those people to go and hang out with and shoot a ball with and have a chat.
Absolutely. And I think from such a young age, it gives you that confidence to be able to make friends. So I didn't know these girls before I played with them, but then I was seeing them every Saturday because they were on my team. And then I guess I got confident and I talked to them and all that sort of stuff. So then when I was brought into different teams, it was kind of easier to do that for me.
Yeah, nice, nice. So talk me through that moment when, you know, you sort of started realizing, hey, this is something that I'm pretty good at, and I can sort of keep on going with this.
Yeah, it was probably for me, I would say I was about 15. I had gone through two under 14 club championships playing for the Darwin Cyclones. And I think I was like double bottom age. I think I was like 12 one year and 13 the other year. And that was so much fun. At that stage, I was kind of just like having fun. I was with some of my best friends. Like we got to go on a cool trip, which was awesome. But then when I went to my first Australian Junior Championships, I think, and representing the Northern Territory and competing against the best kids of my age group, I think that's when I really started to take it a bit more seriously. And I thought, wow, maybe I could be really good at this. So, and I was really passionate about it. I was competitive. So I thought, why not give it a crack and see how far I can take it?
And how do you get from, you know, representing your state and playing in those competitive sort of younger age games to getting the opportunity to start playing for a national, you know, basketball team like the Caps?
Yeah, I guess I don't think there's any one pathway to get you to a professional level. For me, I was playing at these junior champs and I was performing pretty well and I got on some depth charts. So then coaches were starting to notice me around the country. And then I was training in my national intensive program in the Northern Territory, and we had a coach come from Sydney. So he was up in Darwin working for Basketball Northern Territory, and he kind of said to me, you know, you're pretty good. It could be an option for you to finish school somewhere else, maybe somewhere outside of Darwin where basketball competitions are a little bit stronger, and then you'll be challenged against some maybe better kids your age, and then see how you go. Maybe that could open another couple of doors. And that's exactly what it did for me. I went to boarding school in Sydney, which kind of was really crazy. He knew some people from the school. So then he reached out to them, and then the process just started. And then before you know it, I was in Sydney at boarding school. And then kind of from there, it just snowballed. I ended up luckily somehow playing my club down there. The coach was Shannon Seabom. So that was crazy. Then he ended up being my under 17s Australian coach. So I guess I was under Shannon. And then a year after that, I got offered a scholarship to the AIS, which was crazy for me. I don't think I actually understood the significance of being offered a scholarship there at that age. I almost said to my mum, I was like, I love boarding school. I don't want to go to the AIS. Why would I want to do that sort of thing? So
Yeah,
I
right.
think they actually had to convince me to be like, oh, this is a bit of a big deal. Like, obviously you get to choose what you want to do, but I'm just got to let you know that this is a bit of a big deal. So I came around, and then, yeah, I spent 2 years at the AIS, and then I guess being in Canberra and having the Capitals here, that was a great affiliation already. And then, yeah, I ended up with the Caps, and here I've been for what seems like, you're right, forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And like you say, it's probably hard to know when you're a bit younger and, you know, you haven't had the experience to know that, oh my God, this is a huge experience. And geez,
Yeah.
I am going pretty well here. It must be important to surround yourself with good good people that you can put that trust in to say, hey, this is a good move. Like maybe you should go and test this out.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a great support network with my close family and friends. And I also, my coach from my TV Jets basketball club, he was very invested in my development, and he was also in the high performance program. So he kind of took me under his wing, as well as Phil Collins, who was the guy who came from Sydney. And they started giving me confidence to be able to like take basketball further. So yeah, it was really great and really important for me to have those people around me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that journey with us, Abby. I think it's time to put someone else in the spotlight now, and let's get Kelsey Griffin up here.
Here's Button, just hands it back off to Britt Smart. Catch and shoot. Kelsey Griffin, there's experience.
Griffin wants it back in the post. She gets it back in the post. She backs down, spins, in and out and back in.
Shot clock beats her. Now Sutton looking to move up the floor quickly, getting Billings involved. Big block by Kelsey Griffin. Off to Scherf. Had a quite a second turn, Scherf. Let's see what she can do here. Gets blocked by Griffin, and Griffin loved that.
I bet she did. Kelsey Griffin, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Kels, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm really, really excited to be here. I'm super excited to be talking to everyone tonight. So yeah, I'm feeling great.
Yeah, thanks for taking a bit of time out, and a couple of nice blocks in that one. Geez, we're racking up a few blocks for you this season. This is good to see. Is this something that you have been concentrating on recently, or is this just happening naturally?
I don't know, actually. I wouldn't say, I mean, Abby might disagree, but I wouldn't say that it's something that I focus on. But I don't know, maybe people think they could just drive by me and take it up easy. So the disrespect, Joe. I'm taking it as disrespect.
Yeah. No easy buckets.
Yeah.
Kels, you have we've heard obviously Abby's story of her journey to the WNBL. Your story is going to be quite different. You were born in a little town in Alaska. So walk us through those early memories of basketball in Alaska. It's chilly up there, right? This isn't like you're not going to be playing outside in the middle of winter. I would have thought everyone else is playing ice hockey. What's going on?
Yeah, I guess you probably couldn't get more polar opposites than Darwin and Eagle River, Alaska. I guess both small towns. They probably have, or smaller towns. They have that probably in common. But believe it or not, I have played basketball on the snow outside with the like metal rims and the chain nets and all of that. I don't know if that really gave me transferable skills, but I think when you're a kid and you want to have fun, that's just something you make happen. But to be honest, I wasn't really mad about basketball for much of my childhood. I was a diehard soccer player.
Okay.
And wanted to go represent the USA playing soccer. And around year 7, I got told by the comp coach. So sports a bit different in the States. It's associated with schools a lot more. But the competitive coach for soccer told me that I was too slow to play soccer. So I didn't make the team. And at that time, I had been offered an opportunity to play for a competitive basketball team. And I'd only ever played socially. I'd never represented anything. It was just something that I did in the off season between soccer seasons. And so my parents were like, well, what do you want to do? And so I decided, yep, all right, I'll play basketball. So they had to drive me into Anchorage for practices and things like that. And then, never really looked back.
So what age would you have been around when that happened, Kels?
I suppose probably, what is year 7? Is that like 12? Maybe?
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
Maybe
So
12 or 13. Yeah, 12. Yeah. Something like that, around that age.
Taking it a bit more seriously around that age. And from there, I'm guessing, you started to get recognized as a player who could really ball, and you started getting selected for teams representing your city and your state and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. In years 9 to 12, that's considered our high school in the States. And it's affiliated with your school. So the school you go to is the club that you play for. And you really just have state. That's it. We don't have nationals in Alaska because we're too far away from everybody. So we just have state. And I played volleyball and basketball my entire high school years, so from year 9 to year 12. And unlike Abby, I really got scared of the social side of things. So I hated tryouts. I hated going to new teams. I was always worried who was going to be my partner. I wouldn't know anybody. I was never worried about my abilities. It was always the social side of sport that really, really stressed me out. So my mom actually blackmailed me into going into tryouts because I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I'm so glad she did because I've made some of my best friends from volleyball, actually. But I was a dual athlete all the way, and I actually wanted to go to university on a volleyball scholarship, but it just so happened that I ended up getting offered a basketball scholarship. So volleyball I loved far more than basketball, but I just ended up being a little bit better at basketball than volleyball.
Yeah, right. So it's
Mhm.
college then. What college did you go to, Kels?
So I didn't know that I was going to go to university. It wasn't even something really on my radar. Similar to Abby, I was fortunate to have a coach that saw something in me and said, you should try out for these teams. And so in the States, they have this system in the summer called AAU, where you go and you're on like a rep team, kind of, but it's more city based. And you travel all over the country and you play tournaments in front of college coaches. And then they can choose to give you an offer to go to the university. And so the first time I went out, I only got one letter. That was between my sophomore and junior season. And then, or so year 10 and year 11. And then between year 11 and year 12, so my junior and senior year, went and then got tons of letters, but from Ivy League schools, so very academic, all the way up to D1 schools and everywhere in between. And it was incredibly overwhelming. Didn't know what I wanted to study, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I never really fought with my parents, but that summer was there was some turbulence between me and my mom that summer because all these coaches would call and I just wanted to go hang out with my friends and I had to make these grown-up decisions and I wasn't ready for it. But yeah, and actually and my college coach this day can't believe this is how I made my decision. But I got off the phone with my mom. We had a massive fight. I was crying and I was like, forget it. Whatever university calls me next, that's where I'm going. And Nebraska called me next. And
Oh my
that's where
God.
that's where I went to university. So everyone thinks I'm a strong, great leader, real level-headed. I wasn't like that at 17.
It's something that developed over time, but that's amazing. That's the universe was sending you in that direction.
Yes, it definitely was. It definitely was.
Wow. I know everyone's really super keen to get into the Q&As, but very briefly, spent a bit of time in the WNBA, and then you found yourself over at the UC Caps. Can you tell us briefly about that journey?
I'll try to be brief. I'm not. I'll work on that. But I went to school, wanted to be a doctor, thought I would graduate school and go to medical school, and then ended up building a program that was successful and became far more successful than I thought it would be. So WNBA wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't a goal. It wasn't a dream. Didn't know anything about it. Couldn't have even named a team in the WNBA. So the learning curve was really steep for me in the WNBA, and I really struggled. And so if people are interested in that transition to pro, I'm more than happy to talk about that. But I ended up playing some seasons in Europe, absolutely hated it, hated the lifestyle, was wishing days away. And then an old teammate of mine from Nebraska was playing out here in Australia. And she said, do you want to come out here and play? And I was like, it's not really what you should do because at the time, imports didn't really play out here. The money wasn't very good. And for the first time in my life, my mom told me what to do. Normally she's like, let's think about it. Let's reflect. How do you feel? But this was the first time she's like, Kelsey, you need to go to Australia. So I did. I planned on coming out here for one season. This is my 10th season and I live here and probably I'll never leave.
Yeah. Wow. It's well, thank you to your mum. That is awesome. Yeah, bit of luck for us. Kels, thanks so much for sort of putting all of that. We could chat to you about a lot more, and maybe if we do some more sessions like this in the future with older players who are on that cusp of thinking, do I want to go pro? Hearing a little bit about that journey would be really, really cool. But right now, we're going to get into a little bit of coaching from our Caps players and some of your questions and some answers from our players. All righty. After some very serious intro music, it's time to get serious with some Q&A. Ladies, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Abby, you can have a crack at this one first.
Okay.
And I'm sure Kelsey.
Stay ready, no, Kels. If I don't want to answer it, I'm just
Handball.
This one, I'm going to bring it up on the screen so everyone can see it. Oliver sent it through from the Warriors. This is from the under-19 girls team. Any tips on how to manage that work-life balance?
First of all, I want to say that it's really hard and I don't actually have it down pat at the moment. But I think something that's really important for me, and I think you need to find hobbies or things that you enjoy outside of basketball. And that also may not work for everyone. Some people just want to be about basketball all the time. Personally, for me, that's not how I am. I love to do things outside of basketball. I love going to get coffees with friends, and I love cooking. So I make time to cook, and I like to read books, and I like to go to markets on the weekends and stuff. So I think it's really important to prioritize those things, because especially for me, I know that if I'm doing that, basketball is more enjoyable for me. If my life outside of basketball is going really well and I'm really happy, I'm usually playing better in basketball. I'm enjoying my time there more and stuff. So I think it's really important to find hobbies outside of basketball that you enjoy. And that doesn't mean that you need to do them. You need to have a set schedule and you need to do those things 3 times a week. Sometimes you do have to put basketball first. And some other times you get a break in the season or something, and it's totally fine to put basketball on hold for a second and enjoy yourself. Like we just had that a couple of weeks ago with the Caps. There was a break in the season and Goz said, okay, girls, you get 5 days off. Perfect. And it was still super important for us to go home and work out and maintain where we were at. But it was also super important for everyone to go home, be with their families, sort of recharge a bit. And then everyone has come back, and I felt it within the group that everyone was recharged and ready to go for this back end of the season. So I think that's definitely how I keep my work-life balance.
Nice. What about you, Kels? I mean, it's interesting for you. You've also, you both work outside of Caps, but Kelsey, you've got your teaching job as well. Is work-life balance a thing?
I think because I've been very fortunate for most of my career, I've been fully professional. But one thing that I found, and I completely echo with what Abby said, is that when I was fully focused about basketball and basketball was my life, it was when I was least happy and really, got burnt out and really questioned why I was playing and all the sacrifices I was making for this game that I didn't feel like really gave much back to me. So I think that having hobbies, passions, family, keeping yourself grounded, being multifaceted is so important, because that's who we are as human beings. And, you look at even like the most successful basketball players, have, other interests out there, whether, if we're talking the NBA, the restaurateurs, or they are into wine, or whatever it is that they're into, they have, businesses that they've invested in. It's because they have passions besides basketball, which is really important. I think for me, what I found later in my career is that work's become that outlet for me, but I wouldn't necessarily say there's a balance. And so for me, I know I get burnt out quite quickly, that I have to kind of check in with myself and see if the decisions I'm making align with the values and what's most important to me. And that's not to say I can get all of those values ticked every day, but it's something that helps me to recenter. And often when I'm completely out of whack, it's coming back to family and spending really good quality time with family that helps me feel my purpose, because my purpose is definitely not basketball. It's a part of me. It's not who I am.
Yeah, right. Come on. We have a video question from young Stella here.
Kelsey and Abby, my name's Stella. My question is, how did you get so good at basketball?
Whoa, tough one. Hanging out with Joe Gleason, probably.
I was going to say that. I think before anything else, it's definitely a lot of practice, and it's a lot of sacrifice to not only go and train for basketball, but it's to take care of yourself in the gym, to eat right, to make sure you're sleeping right. All of these little things contribute to, I guess, how good sort of you are going to be. So I think all of those things contribute. And I also think being in good programs with good people who believe in you and will instill that confidence in you is really important too.
Yeah, I think for me, I was not nor am a gym rat. Like you would not find me on the weekends playing basketball in my spare time. This is why when Tolo and I do panels together, it's so funny because we couldn't be more opposite. But we've come to, I mean, she's achieved a lot more in her career, but we've come to very similar destinations. But one thing I will say is when I'm on, like at training, I train the house down. I compete in everything I do. I try not to leave anything left in the tank. And so that's another way that I would recommend approach to training is when you're at training or you're getting your extra reps in, you are there 100%. But then when you're not there, you're not there. You're not thinking, I need to be doing basketball. I need to be doing this. I wonder what other people are doing. You're enjoying whatever it is, or you're doing your schoolwork, or, you know, whatever it is that you have outside. You're really in the moment and present in that thing. And I think that will in turn transfer to better basketball skills.
Nice. A specific question to basketball from our under-12s girls team from the Warriors. I get pushed out of bounds. What dribbling technique should I use to stay in court? Those pesky defenders pushing us around. What do we do, girls?
Kels? Me?
I think for me, I guess when I get pushed out of bounds, it's usually because I'm playing too upright. So I'm standing up too tall. You know, as much as they talk about a defensive stance, there's definitely something to be said about an offensive stance. And so I can't think of a women's player that does it really well. I need to start thinking about good women players that replicate this. Actually, Slim would probably do it really well. I haven't paid attention, but Russell Westbrook, when he's driving past somebody, he makes sure his hips get lower than the defenders, and then he can slide right past them, because if the defenders push, they're going to be higher, and so then it would be a blatant foul. Whereas if you're standing upright, it makes it a lot easier, and it's harder for the defender to do that and the ref not see it. So that would be something that I would check, is just how low and in a stance you are on offense.
What do you think, Abby? You think that's about right?
Yeah, I think that's about right. And then I guess with that as well, keeping the ball in control. So at a height that you control it. If you get your hips lower, then bring the ball lower, but make sure you can control it. And I guess kind of keep it in your cylinder. Yeah.
Another question from our Warriors under-19 girls team. What is one key area that you believe is crucial to basketball, Abby?
We harp on about this still, like at a professional level. And I think one key area that is crucial is communication. I think that's the underlying thing of everything else. If you have successful communication, like the team's going to work well. If you don't, it's not going to work well. And we talk about this probably every single training. When things aren't going right, it's probably because we're not communicating properly. And it may seem silly because it's super easy. It has nothing to do with your physical conditioning, anything like that. But communication is so important, whether that's like calling a play or calling what you're doing on a screen, or even in a huddle, how you communicate to each other. And then I guess in turn, being able to take that communication on and know that your teammates have your best interest at heart and they're telling you these things, or your coach is telling you these things in order for the team to be successful and for you to be successful. So for me, communication is probably one of the most crucial things in basketball.
Would you agree with that one, Kels?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I'll choose chemistry over talent any day of the week. And it's really hard to have chemistry without communication, because communication builds trust and everything else. And so, I think Abby answered that beautifully.
Nice. Let's see, what else have we got here? These are two questions that I think we can answer probably together. One from the under-19s girls, what do you recommend doing to improve your shooting skills? And one from the under-12s who says, what is the best shooting technique? I still use two hands and the ball bounces off the backboard. That's not what you want. Shooting technique, I think, is what we're talking about here. Kels, is there any insights you can help us out with this one?
Gosh, we need Britt Smart and Kelly Wilson. I feel like sub me out and put them one of them. And shooting technique's an interesting one. I'll try to make this as concise as possible. There's two ways that you can there's two paths, which is pretty, I guess it's really generalizing, but you can get really, really, really good at your technique, or you can try to have a good technique. So those are really the two things that you can choose to do. Is you can choose to find your technique, what feels right to you, and get really good and practice that, or you can try to choose to be technically sound. I feel like anyone who's probably come up through the Aussie Hoops program knows beef and everything in their follow through and the balance and all of that is really important. I would say without being able to demo or see your shooting, it's quite hard to say specifically what this person needs. But I'd say those are the two ways that you can choose. To break down and rebuild your shot takes a lot of time and a lot of commitment, and probably a lot being okay to fail. And you fail a lot. But it definitely is doable, and it happens all the time. The thing that I wish I had been taught earlier about shooting is how important footwork is, and balance and stance. So I would really build my shot from the ground up, because when I'm on balance, have my legs under me in rhythm, and my feet do what they're supposed to do, my shot feels effortless. But when I'm not, when it starts out wrong, it's really hard to fix it up the chain. So that's probably something that I would focus on, is your feet, getting your legs in conditioning and shooting shape, and choosing how you want to approach your technique.
Nice. Good one. Abs, do you agree with all of those points?
Yeah, I think Kelsey hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, nice. What else have we got? Another one from the under-19s Warriors team. Do you have any tips on preventing injuries, and what's the best way to recover from an injury? It's always heartbreaking when you're watching WNBL game. We saw it just last weekend, and you see someone go down hard, and it's not a nice thing, but it's part of the game. How do you recover from it? Abby, what's your tips here?
I think maybe Kels can talk more of recovery than me. Touch wood. I'm not usually injured very often. But I guess in the prevention side, like I had mentioned before, it's all about how you take care of your body, I think. So it's, are you, for some people, are you in the gym? Are you doing the right things in the gym? Are you sleeping enough? Are you eating the right things? Are you resting when you need to? Are you not overworking yourself? I think all of these little things contribute to the condition of your body and how well it feels, how well it's going to work. And I think if you take care of all of those things, I mean, like injuries can happen out of anything, right? But if you take care of those things, you're putting yourself at less of a risk of getting an injury than what you would do if you weren't taking care of your body.
Kels, as Abby said, you've gone through some pretty tough rehab. What are your tips, apart from just
don't do it?
Staying mentally strong must be such a big part of it as well.
Yeah, it is. And it's really lonely. Rehab's long and lonely and tough because it's monotonous, and you're wanting small gains, and it's really, really tough. And I don't think anyone really explains to you how hard rehab is. And for me, I probably didn't realize the mental toll it took on me. And last year was kind of a culmination of a lot of rehabs building up and really zapping me mentally. So I think that the thing that's really important is having a great support group. If you can, having people around you that you can help, be honest with them, let them know how you're doing, but that can also kind of help you stay accountable, because it's really hard to hold yourself accountable all the time. We talk about that, and that is a skill to have. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't want to quit basketball at some point in almost all of my rehabs, because it just didn't seem worth it. But in saying that, if you do stay on task, if you do keep striving for those little improvements, you will be able to get back on court if you choose to be. And some people need to take a break so they can mentally heal with their physical injury, and everything can align up. Like, look at Christy Wallace, who now is getting to go play WNBA. after, back-to-back ACLs, but she just needed her mind and her body to reconnect before she could really do what she was always meant to do.
Last question before we get into some of that performance mindset stuff. Guys, this one, well, Abs, I reckon you've got to have a crack at this one, don't you? Under 14 girls from the Warriors says, don't say only, I'm a short player, and that's fine. What skills should I concentrate on? What do you reckon?
I think definitely ball handling. You need to be able to handle the ball when you're smaller, and you also need to be able to find ways to create space for yourself. So, like, obviously when I'm playing one-on-one with Kelsey, I don't have a lot of space to work with. So whether that's your ball handling that you use to do that, the footwork, that's really important. But I also think figure out what your strength is naturally. For me, I'm quick, right? And I'm smaller. So perfect. I'll use my speed to outbeat my defenders, sort of thing. So if you're a naturally good shooter, then cool. Like, let's work on your shooting so that you can highlight that. And you can get your shot off quick. Doesn't matter if you're smaller. If that's your natural strength, you work on it and you can be good at it. So yeah, I think ball handling, but also figure out what your natural strength is.
Nice. Good answer. And don't ever say only ever again.
Yeah,
I think Abby's underselling her IQ as well. Like, I think Abby's an incredible student of the game and has taken, she's been put in a situation where players have come in and played over her, but she hasn't backed down from that. Instead, she's learned from them and become a better player every year. And so when she has the opportunity to lead her team, she can from a point guard position, which takes a lot of smarts. It's not easy playing the point guard. And so if you are a smaller player who's looking to play the point guard, I would say that's one thing that's very underrated in Abby is her intelligence when it comes to the game. And certainly you love being her teammate because you know she's going to find you. She makes you look good.
Always good to have that person on the team.
You got to look after your point guards.
Yeah.
You got to look after them.
Thank you so much for all those questions, everyone. They were really, really great. Any that we didn't get to, we do have more of these sessions coming up. Next Wednesday, we're going to get into it again. So we'll try and get through more of those next week. But before we let you guys go, and we might even merge this into a bit of a challenge for everyone who's tuning in today, we want to talk a little bit about this performance mindset, the athlete's mindset, and the mental side of the game. Can you just, I guess, Kelsey, to you, can you walk us through what that is? What does that mean? What does it look like to work on your mental side of the game, apart from just busting your butt in the gym and on the court and getting up lots of shots?
I think it's kind of twofold. For me, one of the questions I've gotten a lot through my career is, I've lost my confidence. How do I get my confidence back? And I think confidence is a really interesting thing, and it's probably a very individual thing. But for me, I get confidence through repetition and through seeing things and from knowing that I've done the work. So that's part of how I have my confidence. And therefore, no one can take that away from me because I know what I've done to prepare myself for something. And so for me, later in my career, where I'm at in my career now, it's finding the balance between needing to do enough to have that confidence, but also being rested enough to be able to perform at the level that I need to perform at without breaking down and having injuries like I've had in the past. And so for me, it's finding that balance and talking a lot about balance. And my mindfulness and my break away from basketball comes in a lot of different forms. And one of my outlets is mountain biking, which is completely different from basketball. It's completely by myself. It's one of the only things I do by myself. But for me, it's recentering and regrounds me so that I can be able to perform at the level that I want. And that kind of feeds back onto what Abby said at the beginning of the program about being able to have these different passions and hobbies. And so I think you can't look at just one specific thing without seeing how the other areas of your life affects it. And some people do journaling, some people do meditation, yoga, different things to help them prepare, but it's finding out your own recipe for what makes you work. And I can honestly say I failed in finding out my recipe far more times than I've been successful. But the other thing that I know that I need to be successful is to have true care for the people that I'm surrounding myself with, both on the court and off the court. And so that's also a reason why I've chosen to stay with the Caps, is because of the teammates that I've gotten to play with. So for me, my mental preparation looks probably a bit different to other athletes, you might ask, but we are all individuals, and so that's how I go. That's how I approach my games.
Abby, when it comes to the Caps, is there a team approach to building that sort of mental toughness and the right mental approach to the game, or is everyone sort of doing what, as Kelsey said, finding that thing that works for them separately?
Yeah, I think largely, like Kel said, it's quite individual, but I guess all that mental preparation, especially with things like Scout, we work on that as a team, right? So we know 2 weeks in advance who we're going to play, which team, where we're going to play, what game time we're going to have. So the sessions leading up to that game, we're locked in and we're focused about who we're playing, what we're going to do on ball screens, what plays are going to work for us, like what areas we need to focus on to be successful in the game. So I think everyone goes away and does their own sort of thing to mentally prepare, but collectively as a group, those scouting sessions and those training sessions where we're scrimmaging the other team's plays and stuff is super important for us to get mentally prepared for game time.
Yeah, cool. I'm a bit of a sucker for, a motivational quote. I'm interested to know, and this might be putting you on the spot and trying to have you come up with one off the top of your head, but is there a motivational quote that you've ever put on, the wallpaper of your phone, or stuck to the bathroom mirror, or had a positive affirmation that you stand in front of the mirror each morning and repeat to yourself? Have you ever done any of that sort of stuff? I mean, that might sound super cliche, and maybe it is, and maybe people don't actually do that. And in my head, you guys do.
Abby, do you have one?
I don't have a specific saying, but I think I probably actually first heard this from Kelsey, and it was something after a bad shooting night or something, or people were a bit like timid to shoot the ball. And Kelsey said, we practice these shots like more than 100 times a week. So why aren't we confident shooting them now? And I guess that like triggered a little bit of self-reflection in me. Like, seriously, we shoot that many shots a week. So what are we doing not being confident in ourselves? Like, we practice this all the time. So why wouldn't we be, sort of thing? So I guess I always focus on that kind of coming into the game, whether that's playing like 15 minutes or that's 3. I practice all of this stuff all throughout the week. So I should be confident in doing it.
Yeah. You've done the prep. Give yourself yourself the pat on the back to say, yeah, you take that shot. What about you, Kels?
I guess just to add to that, coming off the bench and playing limited minutes like I did for a lot of my WNBA career is so hard for that very reason, to be confident, but also to be in rhythm. It's like a superpower to be able to come in and do what Abby does. Like, I'm certainly not envious, because that first touch, you might be wide open and think like, oh, I've got to shoot it, but like I haven't touched the ball yet. But to be able to see, that kind of mental fortitude in players like Abby, it's always so impressive. And I'm definitely impressed by that. For me, I definitely don't have a quote. There might have been ones throughout my career. But what I do is I reflect back to probably the lowest point in my career, which was my second year in the WNBA. And I went to Broadway because we played in New York City. And or that was one of the teams we played. And I saw Wicked, which is another tale on the Wizard of Oz. It's from the witch's point of view. And at the end of Act 1, they sing the song called Defying Gravity. And it just, like, even just talking about it now, like, it gives me goosebumps. And there was just something about that, because Alphaba, the main character, was saying, you know what, like, I don't care what you guys say. I'm living my life how I think it should be lived. And that's how I'm going to go down. If that's how I'm going down on my, own accord. And so from then on, I was like, well, if I'm going to ride the bench, if I'm, going to get dragged for missing a shot, I'm going to do it. But doing it knowing that I've trained as hard as I can. My heart was in the right place when I did it. I was trying to do the best action I could on the court, not trying to appease somebody else or, make somebody else happy. And so for me, that's a song that I go back to, I suppose, just to recenter me, because basketball wasn't always like this for me in my career, and so it's good to remember where I came from.
That's awesome. I'm now always going to picture you driving to basketball games, listening to theatre, just rocking out to some Wicked.
It is. Right now, it's not Defying Gravity at the moment. It's actually Louder Than Words by Tick Tick Boom. It's on Netflix, so if you want to check out a good musical. But that's the one. That's the motivation at the moment, Louder Than Words.
Awesome. Maybe that should be our question for our players next week. What are your motivational tunes on the way to basketball? One used to be DMX, because the dude just gets angry all the time about everything. It just got me all fired up. So not always family friendly, unfortunately, but hey, thank you so much, guys, for taking some time out of your Wednesday afternoon / evening. We've really appreciated, your thoughts on some of these questions, hearing that journey, and hearing about what goes on up here, I guess, as well in the lead up to those games. Good luck, girls, for this weekend. The big last home game for our Caps. It's crazy, and then they go on the road. So check them out. 3 p.m. Sunday, taking on the Melbourne Boomers. If you're watching this live, of course. If you're watching this in replay in a couple of weeks, well, you missed it. I mean, you probably missed a great win from them. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll let you guys go, and hopefully we'll see you soon on another stream.
Yes. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys. See ya.
They're out of here. There they go. Kelsey Griffin, Abby Cabillo from the UC Caps. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in next week. We're going to do it at the same time, 5 p.m. next Wednesday. Make sure you tune in. You're all invited all over again. We'll make sure we get you that link so that you can join us. And next week, we're going to have young up-and-comer. She's just come out of Opal's camp. She's doing some awesome things in the WNBL, the one and only Jade Melbourne, and our awesome, amazing import from the WNBA. She made the all-defensive team for the last season she played over there, and she is just an absolute firecracker on the court. So much passion. The one and only Brittany Sykes, a.k.a. Slim, is going to be joining us as well. So hope you can join us then. Think about some questions in the meantime. We'd love to hear them from you. And see you then, Canberra. Thanks so much for joining us.
Who the best in this thing? Tell them, yeah, that's me. Tell them who bring the fire. Say, yeah, that's me. Who make it flip, make it bang. Ooh, yeah, that's me.